Hello, my name is Matej. I'm a senior product designer at Growth Expansion, and today I want to walk through a potential strategy that I came up for redesigning the homepage, which we now call the Start page. So this is basically the page that is shown after clicking the GitLab logo in the main nav. For me, that defaults to Start projects, and users can change this, but as it turns out, not many of them know that they can actually change that. So the current situation is that we know that there's a problem with this page. It doesn't really it doesn't really work well for our users, and we know that because they let us know. They opened many issues where they were asking for customization so that they could customize the information that is shown there so that they could easily get into their tasks as they start their days. And we know that there's a problem with it, but we need to break it down into smaller, more concrete and user-focused problems. So the next step, I imagine, is problem validation. And we're actually already starting that because we're soon launching an experiment where we'll show a banner and tell the users that they can actually change the content on this page. And as they do, we'll try to see if there's any correlation between their user role and what information they choose to see on that page. So for example, do software developers mainly choose activity in merge requests, for example? We'll also run a survey and ask them about what they want to do after signing into GitLab. What is the first thing that they want to do? And what kind of information will help them do that more quickly and more efficiently. So these two things are basically already ready and they're going out soon. I'll also review any existing research findings. There's quite a bit of that. And all of this should help me come up with some jobs to be done for these users. So what are the goals that they want to complete? And we'll focus on the main user roles first. So probably software developer, a development lead, project or product manager. So these roles first, probably. So yeah, at this first step, we're looking at what do the users want to do and why. So we want to understand their problem, their context of how they start their days working with GitLab, basically. And after that, we'll switch into solution validation and we'll do some rapid prototyping and feedback. This is an idea from Jeff Crow and I really liked it. It's basically we design pieces of the UI or the solution and then ask for feedback from users. In this particular case, I imagine this would be designing widgets of information that we believe will help users solve their job to be done. And we'll rapidly go through these phases where we create mockups, ask for feedback, and iterate until we get to a point where we feel comfortable that that widget and that information in that widget actually helps them solve the problem. And then we can repeat this process and start thinking about grouping these widgets into dashboards, which is basically a group of widgets, and think about possible pre-built dashboards. So what groups of widgets help solve problems for a product manager, for example. And at this step, the main goal will be to come up with these predefined dashboards that solve problems for 80% of our users, and later on we can use these dashboards, if they're successful, as smart defaults. So for example, someone signs up to GitLab, they say that their role is product manager, and we default their dashboard to what we believe is best for product managers. After that, or at the end of this phase, we should have a pretty good idea whether our solution is good or not. Is it solving the user problem or not? But still, we need to define key metrics and measure the impact to find out if we're really successful, right? So we'll probably launch a couple of experiments. As I think about it now, it probably makes more sense to start with a couple of pre-built dashboards for the most common user roles. So again, software developer, product or project manager. Release them as MVCs, get some feedback, see if they have an impact on these metrics. If they do, maybe build additional pre-built dashboards for less common roles, repeat the process, see if it has a positive impact on the metrics. And if all that goes well, we would move on into the kind of final stage where we start thinking about making these dashboards, this start page, complete or maybe even lovable when it comes to our maturity category, right? So we're at this point we should be quite confident that we're solving the user problem, but can we go a step further and allow them possibly, customization? So can they filter the information in the widgets? Can they add or remove these widgets from a dashboard? Can they save their own dashboards and default to a dashboard that they built? Could we potentially create an email activity report so that instead of receiving 30 emails, a user receives one, and we filter all this information into one and make it really usable? It's hard to predict what will come later in this process, in this strategy, because as we see, the solutions go from being abstract to concrete the further down we go in the process, right? Because right now we have an idea that there's a problem. We don't know what exactly it is and how to solve it, but prototyping, getting feedback should help us get to more concrete solutions. But when it comes to the next steps, it's the opposite. We start with concrete next steps, and the further down in the process, the less concrete they are and they become more abstract, right? So it's quite easy for now to say, yes, the next step is at the banner experiment, and we'll run a survey, we'll review the existing research. And even when it comes to rapid prototyping and feedback, we know that it makes sense to do it, but who knows what will come after that. I imagine it will be these experiments, and then if the experiments are successful, some kind of optimization of that solution. But this is a flexible strategy, and I expect it will change as we proceed. So yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I'd like to encourage you to comment in the issue that I linked in the description. And that's it. Thanks.